We're ready for your album, Heidi.
It's coming out soon. My single's coming out in a couple weeks, and my album will be out before summer.
Ooh, it's gonna go to number
Very
one.
excited.
Hey,
Thank
Henry,
you. God bless you, Henry.
Hello, my naughties. Make yourself comfortable and grab some champagne because we're diving head first into one of the most gloriously misunderstood album of our time. An album that was dragged, disrespected, and disowned faster than Heidi Montag and Lauren Conrad's friendship. But guess what? The bitch is back. That's right. I'm talking about Heidi Montag's pop masterpiece, Superficial. The 2010 pop opus that has gone from the most embarrassing album ever made to number one on iTunes thanks to a TikTok-fueled resurgence and a growing cult following that refuses to let this masterpiece go gently into the night. But there's some more to this comeback than just nostalgia or ironic support. This is a story of a pop masterpiece. Major producers, iconic songwriters, and even a little help from Gossip Girl's Taylor Momsen. But yet, somehow, it flopped and was potentially sabotaged by Lady Gaga and Hilary Duff. That's right, Gaga and Duff might be responsible. They were just too jealous. They couldn't see another icon rise. This is the untold story of how the most hated woman in reality TV tried to become the next Britney Spears, only to be buried alive by the media, the music industry, and let's be real, to a certain degree, her own TV villainous persona. But here's the gag. Superficial was never dead. It was just waiting for the right moment to rise from the ashes. Quite literally, since Heidi and Spencer unfortunately lost their home in the LA fires. But now the internet has rallied behind them and it's giving Phoenix rising from the ashes in a bedazzled bikini. Get ready, because I'm about to serve you a full-on Naughtylicious deep dive. By the end of the video, you might just stream Superficial like it's your new religion. You've been warned. Now let's get balls deep into this. So let's do a quick recap on how we met Heidi to begin with. Before Heidi Montag became one of the most talked about reality TV stars of the 2000s, she was just a girl from a picturesque mountain town in Colorado, dreaming of something bigger. That big dream started to take shape when she moved to San Francisco to attend the Academy of Art University, where fate introduced her to none other than Lauren Conrad. We first meet Heidi on season 2 of Laguna Beach, appearing as Lauren's friend for episodes 13 through 16. She then goes on to move with Lauren to Los Angeles, where she becomes a main cast member on The Hills. Around this time, Heidi, through Laguna Beach's Kristen Cavallari, meets Spencer Pratt, who had just produced a short-lived reality TV show, The Princess of Malibu, starring Brody Jenner.
And if it weren't for you, we wouldn't be together.
Tell the story how you guys met. Obviously, I know I may or may not have had something to do with it, but I want to hear from you guys.
I asked you if you knew anyone to hook me up with, right?
And this is when I'm dating Brody.
Yes, when you're dating Brody. And you're like, no, I don't know anyone.
Sorry, Spencer.
Like, okay,
I got no one for you.
I don't think.
Well, to be fair, Spencer wasn't like, hook me up with somebody, you know?
Yeah,
like, he was total
that's fair.
Party boy.
I don't know that I saw
bachelor.
Spencer in like this boyfriend light either. No offense.
And he wasn't.
We love you.
He totally wasn't.
I still.
He's still shocked.
Not tonight.
So anyways, that makes sense. And then we were in the club and you're like, oh, I do have someone for you because you were there with Spencer. And you're like, there's Spencer. And so I look over and Spencer has like 5 playmates around him. And I'm like, okay, I like a challenge.
I like a challenge.
Yeah, I like a challenge.
Love you.
But he was like super handsome and charming. And of course, everybody loved him because he was so sexy and funny. And then we started dating on and off. And then Spencer said to me something like, I'm falling in love with, something like that.
Now let's get into the beginning of Heidi's pop fantasy. Picture it. Heidi is one of the most recognizable faces of reality TV, and she's convinced that her true calling isn't just reality stardom. It's pop superstardom. So what does she do? She invests her own money, reportedly $2 million, to record an album that she believed could make her the next Britney Spears. Oddly enough, she does have a song called Blackout, which we will talk about a little later. But the album, Superficial, reminds me a lot of Britney's Blackout. It's just like a pop dance banger from beginning to end. The sound of the album was meant to be bubblegum pop meets electropop with an unapologetically fun feminine vibe. Spencer got Heidi a meeting with David Foster, Brody Jenner's stepdad, who was on The Princess of Malibu, and they began working on her album.
So I had a deal with David Foster. He wanted to do, put me under his label. And then I had my lawyer, you know, it was like a 360 deal. And he's like, they're going to take part of your TV money and this and that. And I already had so many deals in the works and so much money. I was like, I'm not going to let somebody come in and take all that.
She also works with some big name producers, including Kathy Dennis, who did Britney Spears' Toxic, Red One, who we will talk a lot more of, who did a lot of collaborations with Lady Gaga, including Poker Face, and Steve Morales, who worked with Christina Aguilera on Strip.
And I had Tommy Page, who was the A&R, and he got me Body Language, which was a Yaz sample, which was great.
On August 2007, Heidi's Body Language was premiered on Ryan Seacrest's morning show.
Young lady Heidi Montag and her fiancé Spencer, they were here not too long ago, and Heidi told us, as I played a minute ago, told us that she was working on music with David Foster.
It's very dance, urban, rhythmical. It's kind of its own genre in a way, you know. It's very upbeat, very up-tempo, but, you know, I really love a lot of rap and urban music at the same time, so I'm kind of bringing a little bit of those elements in. So, you know, it's just a really fun dance vibe at the same time.
She's listening. She wants to hear your feedback. This is a first. It's a world premiere. It's Heidi Montag featuring Spencer Pratt rapping. 800-520-1027 at KISS. We're going to roll it here, 7:38 in the morning. Oh, the beat rises.
I like it.
Maria, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Everything's fine over here, Santa Fe Springs. What do you think? Heidi Montag, the world premiere, only here in L.A. right now. What do you think?
I loved it. I thought it was an awesome song. It's great to dance to. It's just great. I even like the rapping. I thought it was great. It gave it a fun.
Maria, you're on the table. We can see you now. You're dancing on the table. You're at the club.
The situation was a little odd. Heidi and Spencer then went on to say that it wasn't going to be her first single. It's a bit unclear why it wasn't her first single or part of the original version of Superficial. Body Language was an amazing song, and she even performed it at the Miss Universe pageant. It seems like the problem might be due to the sample it uses.
Great. And then I was supposed to have Reach Out and Touch Me, and it was a song, and they ended up giving it to Hilary Duff instead.
Why did Hilary get it and not you? Because when you listen to Reach Out, it sounds like a Heidi Montag song. It really does.
Yeah, that was going to be my song, Reach Out and Touch Me. And we were both with the same label at that time. And Hilary Duff just was bigger. She was a singer and had the track record and definitely had the priority. So once I wanted it and the A&R was like, sorry, Hillary's people just took it. I was like, okay, well, sure, no problem. But I got Body Language instead, and I think I would rather have Body Language.
Heidi's official first single, the song Higher, was released on February 2008. And now we need to talk about the music video that lives in infamy. And unfortunately, it will only live in infamy because it's no longer on YouTube. They took it down. So if you know, you know. If you were there, you probably remember. The song was called Higher. But the music video was giving low budget, but I was here for it. I was obsessed, not only with the video, but also the song. I really wish that she would have left the song on Superficial.
You can download or buy the music video that Spencer and I shot and directed.
When I posted the video on my website, it literally got, I think, over 2,000 comments.
That's crazy.
A lot of the comments have been negative, and people don't like the video.
I don't know.
Why do you think a lot of people are not liking it, though? Jealousy?
I don't know. I didn't know people didn't like it.
I haven't read one negative thing. You being serious? People are negative?
There have been articles written this past week just about the negative reaction.
I appreciate people taking time to write any kind of comment.
I gotta give Heidi mad props for always staying so sweet and so positive. The video had everyone talking.
Heidi has been busy with her new video that just came out. Have you guys seen it?
I have.
What are your thoughts?
Something Heidi and Spencer would do. I don't know. I guess Spencer filmed it, so...
Were you kind of shocked? I mean, did you think that she would have like a professional video?
I never thought she would ever be a singer since I've known her. I mean, she's never really talked about music or anything, and then all of a sudden she's like coming out with this CD and this video. I'm like, whoa. But good for her. I mean, if that's what she wants to do.
All right, so did you guys have a big viewing party? Check it out together?
No. I just actually saw it on TMC, and my mom was like, you have to see this. And I'm like, what? She's like, just sit down and watch. I'm like, whoa.
I know, at first I think a lot of people didn't really think it was real. But
no, it's just, that's what she wanted it to be, bikini and beach, so.
The hate was so massive that when releasing a new video Paula Abdul was unhappy with, she was grateful that it wasn't Heidi Montag bad. Years later, Spencer did an interview with Spin and shared that he regretted the video. When asked if he had any regrets surrounding her attempt at being a pop star, Spencer responded, "I blew it by directing the most bootleg video for hire. We did a paparazzi photo shoot, then said we might as well just turn this into a music video. I was friends with the editor of the show 24, and I was like, if he can make Jack Bauer look that good, he can take my bad footage and make it look good." But people just murdered that. By the way, I just realized that you can buy the Hire music video on iTunes, so make sure to do that and keep supporting Heidi. So Hire might have been a low point for Heidi's music career, but honestly, it is camp, and it's one of those things that's so bad, it's iconic. Makes you want to run through the beach and play with seagulls just thinking about it.
Do you ever feel like with your music career, I feel like it set the tone in a negative way because Higher was the first song to come out, because you've got a lot better songs than Higher, and you just sort of did the fun video on the beach, and then that went like mega viral, but you got a lot of hate for that, and then it's almost like, well, if you would just like come out with like Superficial as the first song or something, like the trajectory may have been a bit different because it wouldn't have put like a negative image in people's mind like right off the bat.
It's hard to say. I think that people were so against me in so many levels that I'm not sure it would have mattered what song. Maybe it would have made a huge difference.
The following month, Heidi released the ballad No More, which was not included on the original album, but is featured in the anniversary edition. On June of 2008, 2 other songs were released. One More Drink, the total bop, which was the first song Heidi recorded for the album and was written by Dawn from Danity Kane. Heidi described the song as a fun club anthem that makes you feel sexy. She also released a song called Fashion, written by Lady Gaga. Let's get into one of the juiciest conspiracies in pop history. Did Lady Gaga sabotage Heidi Montag's music career? Because if this is true, it's probably one of the pettiest things I've ever heard. And honestly, it's kind of iconic. I mean, Heidi Montag was a reality TV star. It's crazy that Lady Gaga would have felt threatened by her. But I don't know, maybe she knew how good her music was going to be.
Really? What happened? Trying to save my ears from Lady Gaga and my eyes from her style.
We're going back in the studio.
Is that a good enough answer?
That's a pretty good answer. Not the Lady Gaga fans, Heidi Montag, no. What do you think of Lady Gaga's style?
It's good for her.
It's good for her.
Thank you. Thank you.
I think it's fun.
It's fun, okay.
When you had an album,
that's not her real hair color, is it? It's like, it's not even her hair color.
What happened with you and Lady Gaga's producer Red One? Because I remember like at one point there were stories that he was going to produce your album and then you did a song together, Fashion, and then your version of Fashion leaked online first and then randomly like Lady Gaga put her version out on like a soundtrack for something. Like what happened with you and Red One?
So you should Google the quote of Red One with Us Weekly, how he put out that I'm going to be the biggest singer and that he thinks I'm like the biggest star he's ever worked with. And he had this huge thing and him and I were going to pair up and we were going to do what him and Lady Gaga ended up doing, which is writing every song together and producing. And then he was like, I just need to get the consent of the writer. And so I just thought Lady Gaga was a writer. And so she was a writer on the song and Fashion. He's like, hey, I'm going to cut Fashion with Heidi. I have her in the studio. She loves it. And she's like, great, sure, she can have that song. And so then I recorded it and it was my song. That's the impression that I was under. So I put it, I was on The View and I had Heidi Wood doing a fashion show on it and it was so big and it got big traction. And then Confessions of a Shopaholic wanted to put it in their movie and she's like, no, I'm pulling that song and I'm recording it. It's not Heidi's anymore. And I was like, oh, and so it's hard. People are like, I love Lady Gaga. I'm like, I'm sure she's great, but like, I have not had the best encounter with her. And, you know, she was like, I talked to her on the phone for a second. She's like, I just filmed with Lauren and Whitney on The Hills. And I was like, who is this girl? What is happening? Like, she's a hater, clearly. And she's like saying, I was like, great, I am a star of that show. Like, what are we battling here? What is happening? So she did not want me working with Red One. And she told Red One that she wouldn't work with him anymore if I kept working with him. And he's like, I'm sorry. She's my writing partner for huge things. And so we even went out to dinner with him and, you know, several times and we were hanging out with him and she pulled the cord and was like, absolutely not.
Wait, so do you feel like, because most people might not realize that Lady Gaga was on The Hills for like 1 second performing or something, I think early on. Do you think that, like Audrina and Lauren were like, oh, that Heidi, like, do you think they said anything to her?
I don't even think they had to say anything to her. I think she was a Hills fan and obviously liked Lauren and was excited to film with her and enjoyed her experience with that. And so that would obviously make you a not Heidi fan. Yeah. And she is mad that I was in the studio with her producer before she came out. So I think she saw like, shoot, Red One is one of the biggest, best producers and writers. And if he takes Heidi, that's taking my magic. That's her juice. He wrote Just Dance for her. He wrote almost every song with her and produced it. So of course she's not going to want to share that when at that moment I was a potential rival for what she was doing. So she's like, I'm not letting Heidi come in and take my songs, which I get, but like, didn't have to be so rude.
Now, to Heidi's credit, her story has never changed. Here she is talking about it to Page Six.
So this was supposed to be one of my main songs. And then I recorded it and Red One put out a statement of how great it was and how great he thought it was. And she lost it and freaked out. And Red One had to put out a statement like, oh, I take it back, after he got like yelled at by Gaga. And it was on The View and that was my song. And then Confessions of a Shopaholic came because they heard me have it and wanted to do the song. And I think what happened, I wasn't there, but I think she was like, nope, that's my song, I'll record it. I think that's why.
And it sounds like she recorded it in 15 minutes.
And she might have.
Come on, girl.
Yeah, come on, Gaga. Let's mend those fences.
Yes.
If you apologize, it's all good. You don't even need to apologize. Just pull me on stage. It's fine.
So was Gaga really trying to sabotage Heidi's music career by snatching back Fashion? Or was it just bad timing or a misunderstanding? Either way, it's clear that the music industry wasn't exactly rolling out the red carpet for Heidi. Can we take a moment to just appreciate all of the visuals that Heidi was serving for this pop career? I mean, she was serving cunt. Before the album came out, a bunch of songs were released as promotional singles and included in 2 EPs, Wherever I Am and Here She Is. In August of 2008, Heidi released Overdosing with an 80s themed video that would be featured on her EP Here She Is, but wouldn't make the Superficial album. The first official single released from the album Superficial was Look How I'm Doing. Another Bob. Heidi talked about the song to Life and Style, saying, I think that's just such a fun track because that's how I felt. I felt on top of the world. With Lauren, I felt like she broke up with me. We were in such different places, and I know it wasn't how she felt, but this song, even though it sounds like a kiss off to an ex, it really resonated with me because of what I was going through in my friendship with Lauren. And here's a little fun pop culture crossover that nobody talks about enough. Taylor Momsen, aka Little J from Gossip Girl, has a writing credit on Superficial. She actually wrote that song when she was a little baby girl.
I didn't really want to release the songs. I wrote at 5, so you know.
No.
I had to wait till I wrote a record store.
Heidi Montag was fine with it, though.
Yeah, that was a weird one when I got that phone call.
Jeez, yeah. What?
Someone just sent me the song, and I was like, "Is this for real? I don't know. How did she even get this?" But
that song, you wrote that when you were 8?
Yeah, I was like 8 or 9 or something. I was young.
She's singing an 8-year-old's words there. That should tell you a lot.
It's hey, to each their own.
It's details like this that make a Superficial so fascinating. Ugh, and that song is such a bop. Blackout was accompanied by a video shot by Heidi and Spencer on their honeymoon in Mexico during the swine flu outbreak, of course. This video is like higher on steroids and features Heidi dancing in a bikini in a hot tub, being the icon that she is. Heidi also released the absolute banger, More Is More, which up until that point was the only song of hers to chart on Billboard, peaking at number 27 on the Hot Dance Club play chart. The final single released before the Superficial album was out was the title track, Superficial. And here's another little bonus for you guys. Heidi may or may not have had a duet with Britney Spears.
Your version of Dramatic, which Britney Spears also recorded, there's this version where someone has put together your version of Dramatic and Britney Spears' version of Dramatic. Tell us the story behind that song and why you didn't ultimately release it. Was Britney going to release it? Because she never did.
Yeah, she never did, and it was it's a whole interesting story. And Spencer just brought that up to me the other day. He's like, maybe we just put out Dramatic without Britney in it, and you record those parts.
I think so.
So, I didn't ever fully record the song myself.
Oh, wait, was it going to be a duet?
It's too messy to get into, but it's a whole thing.
Now, when Superficial finally dropped in January of 2010, the media and the public were ready to pounce. Critics were brutal, but in hindsight, they missed the point because it's a masterpiece. Superficial was released independently with no label backing. The critics were vicious, but despite the reception, Heidi said the album was a piece of her soul. I gotta say, there wasn't really a lot of promotion from the album, probably because Heidi was recovering from the surgery, but she did do a couple of interviews, including this Entertainment Weekly interview with the headline reading, Heidi Montag says new album cost almost $2 million, left her broke, and it's as good as Thriller. I agree. The critics tore it apart for sure, but Heidi stood by her album. And over time, thankfully, the world started to come around. Now, despite having the right team behind her, the biggest hurdle that Heidi faced was the public's perception of her. People didn't really want a reality TV star to succeed as a pop star, and that skepticism would haunt the album's release. Plus, Heidi was a villain in the general public's eye. Everyone was like Team Lauren. Heidi knows what she did. So it's kind of hard to root for a villain as your next pop princess. So how did Heidi and Spencer become media villains? The two didn't just fall into the media's bad graces. They crafted their personas as reality TV's most hated couple. They knew exactly what they were doing, and honestly, it was kind of genius. At the time, they were the villains of the Hills, not only to Lauren, but to each other. Their relationship conflicts were one of the most entertaining aspects of that show. Now, what was real and what was geniusly crafted by them, only they know. But it unfortunately didn't really help Heidi's pop dreams.
I think it's safe to say you guys have been through your fair share of really negative press, especially in the height of the Hills. So I would imagine that going through that together probably brought you guys closer. Was it nice to be able to have one another to lean on during all of that?
Yeah, and I think also we created a lot of it together. You know what I mean?
Okay,
like
right.
So it wasn't just like all of a sudden we were swarmed. You know, it's like, okay, it's a little here,
This
a little
is
there.
coming next week.
So you just feel like you're almost in two different worlds. You know, you're behind the scenes making money and moves and strategies, and then definitely at a point it was like, wow, this has gotten out of control, and how do we pivot out of this? And now it's permanent. And you know, every season too after the show they'd be like, oh, next season's your redemption season, this is your redemption.
Oh, that's what they would tell you guys,
right? So we always thought that we would have a chance to like redeem the audience and to change it around, and it just never played out. And people thought we had such a tumultuous relationship is the biggest misconception.
Okay,
like,
yeah.
all the fighting, it's like we could never have sustained a relationship being in that kind of relationship.
For sure.
And it's
Once Spencer joined the Hills during the second season, Lauren and Spencer began butting heads until it reached its climactic boiling point, where Lauren accuses Spencer, and by extension Heidi, of starting rumors that she had a sex tape with ex-boyfriend Jason, who also appeared on Laguna Beach and the Hills during one of the most iconic moments of the show. But why did Lauren hate Spencer so much? And was it always that way?
I love that you two ultimately came together via Kristen Cavallari, though. And I feel like she was always a great pillar of support for the two of you, and you guys maintained a good relationship. But what I'm so curious about, and I don't know if anyone's ever asked you this, but because Lauren and Kristen had such a semi-contentious dynamic, and Kristen was the one who introduced you, do we think that Lauren was so anti-Spencer from the jump because he was introduced through Kristen?
I have never thought about that.
Actually, she loved Spencer. Like,
Lauren.
Oh, yeah. To a point where I was like,
They didn't
okay,
film this. This is
like
preseason.
You don't need to love him that much.
You're like, hey,
you know?
lady.
Yeah.
You're like, actually, calm down, Lauren.
Yeah, there were a few points where she's like, my dad would just love you. You should meet my dad. And I'm like, he hasn't met my family. And like, I don't think he really, that's not appropriate. Like, I would never say that to her boyfriend. And like, my dad would, you know, so there were like.
Again, another thing if someone said to me, I'd be arrested.
So there's a whole
Don't
list.
steal the man or ask me for lipo. Yeah.
Yeah. So no, it was the fact when Brody wouldn't date her anymore or hook up with her or whatever it was. And then she's like, we're done with them, basically. And I was like, no, we're not
Brody and I
done
were
with
a
them.
package deal.
Yeah. So I'm like, no. I really like Spencer. And, you know, there was a lot of like ups and downs going on because we were both dating different people. And then we, you know, there was just a lot of factors that were between Spencer and I. So I can see as an outside best friend being like, okay, maybe you want to like, are you sure that you want to do this? But like I would say to her, like, well, I was in on it, and then I saw it play out on TV and in person, and I did get more emotional than I thought, and now I'm not cool with it, but I did agree to it, and it was a new world for me going into like really liking someone and then being like, great, well, let's make TV together. I think for her also, it started being like, wait, you know, there were a few factors. So I can see that. She really did like him until they were done. Then it went into the chapter of us making TV and her not liking that also and being like, this is my show.
She's like a storyline.
Do you think she felt threatened of the two of you kind of as a unit? Like maybe scared of the star power that was about to shine down on her?
Well, I think it was the first time it switched from her not having the A storyline.
Heidi touched on this again during an appearance on Kristen's reality show, Very Cavallari.
Fame, like, it brings people's true colors out.
It totally does.
Yeah.
It totally does.
Well, you've kind of went through that with Lauren.
Did
Well, she turned on me and she said, all right, we're not friends, you're off the show. And like,
she did?
Oh, she's like, oh, I don't like Spencer. If you keep dating him, you're off the show.
That's right.
And I said, then I'm off the show.
She wanted you to choose between the two of them.
Yeah. But it's hard, and it's hard when you lose your best friend. Yeah. That is such a deep wound.
Yeah.
Heidi and Spencer became tabloid fixtures and staged some pretty iconic paparazzi shots. I mean, it was incredible. You literally couldn't go to the grocery store and pick up a tabloid without seeing them either on the cover or in there. And they always had like the most interesting photos that made you wonder, what is going on? What are they fighting about? Why is Heidi crying? Why is Spencer so mean?
When is the paparazzi era of you guys doing paparazzi staged photos?
From the beginning, right when Spencer and I met each other, we started doing that because he was in touch with the paparazzi agencies and he just was with Brody was just dating Nicole Richie and they were like always around the paparazzi.
Smart.
So we would set up photos and photo shoots and, sometimes they would bring props for us and then we would get a percentage of the money. Oh my God.
And they really sold their personal lives to the media. I mean, Spencer once admitted to calling the paparazzi on themselves multiple times a day. He actually commented on this one post of some of their paparazzi shots. So hilarious. And they even faked a couple of breakups. And then, of course, there was a lot of plastic surgery reveals on Heidi's behalf.
I must say, you have changed since I saw you last.
Thank you.
Where should we be? How many different procedures did you have?
I had 10 in one day. I had an eyebrow lift.
Uh-huh.
I had my nose fixed. I had my lips done. I had cheekbones. I had my ears pinned. I had my chin done. I had my breast done.
That I noticed.
I had my waist cinched in on both sides. I had my back scooped. I had butt injections and my legs.
Is that 10?
I feel like it's more.
So to the general public, Heidi's decision to pursue music wasn't really seen as an artistic endeavor. It was seen as an extension of their fame-hungry, attention whore antics. So the media and the public were ready to dismiss her pop career before it even started. This article is a perfect example. Heidi was set to perform Body Language at the Miss Universe pageant, and the public was not only not taking her seriously, but they were kind of rooting for her downfall. TMZ reported, sources tell us pageant peeps are concerned Heidi just can't pull it off. Looks like a train wreck and can't dance. And when they updated the story, they revealed that Heidi isn't as bad as producers were secretly hoping she'd be. Shady. So we have a public that is not ready to have a reality TV pop princess, much less one they see as a villain, and lots of media coverage about her plastic surgery or relationship, when the headlines should have been about her upcoming album. Not only did the plastic surgery steal the spotlight, it also robbed Heidi of being able to promote the album through musical performances.
I was releasing my album. I had a lot to do. Yes. I wasn't planning on being recovering for a year. So my album got completely overshadowed because I was supposed to be basically on tour. iHeartRadio asked me to perform. I wasn't physically able to. So who knows how successful my music career could have been if it wasn't completely overshadowed by
your surgery.
Making things worse was that Heidi was not getting any support from MTV. At the time, MTV wanted to keep the girls relatable, so much so that they supposedly had to wear their own wardrobe. Having one of the cast members become a pop star on the show was not something they felt would be relatable.
And I was hoping to transition from reality TV into the music industry because the music was so good and the hate was just so hard to cut through. And at that time, MTV just wouldn't get behind it and pair up with a record label. And the record label's like, we'll go all in like a Lady Gaga or someone else, but we need MTV to at least partner up with us. And they were like, no, absolutely, we won't do it. So the music was so good, but I was so close, but so far.
So you had the label support behind the scenes.
Oh yeah, they were all in. They were like, we thought doing this, you'd be performing at the VMAs, and like MTV would step up like they did with us with Ashley Simpson or somebody else. And they were like, even if they won't follow it on TV, which they should, and now with Housewives and stuff they do, they were like, you should be pushed on a bigger level with them, and they should entertain you as a singer and help you to transition into that. And they thought it would benefit them because they're selling the Hills catalog and they're selling merch and they're selling DVDs, and they just didn't want me to overshadow the show at all.
Now, flash forward to today, and Superficial is having a revenge era. Unfortunately, Heidi and Spencer lost their house in the LA fire.
There's our house we lived at during the Hills filming for 2 years. This is our driveway. And our bedroom was down there.
Really just comes in waves, but I just want to go home. I just want to see all my stuff and sit on my couch and just really want to go home.
And Spencer, being the great husband that he is, started, kind of like promoting Heidi's song, I'll Do It, on TikTok.
Anyone here that has Spotify, please add Heidi to your Spotify. She's at 1.2 million monthly listeners. If we can get that to like 2 million monthly listeners, it'd be life-changing. So just go to your Spotify. If you're a Spotify person, please add Heidi Montag. So yes, please, if you have Spotify. Obviously, if you don't have Spotify, any music platform helps. But please, especially Spotify, because that's the best one for independent artists, in my knowledge. So please add Heidi immediately. Thank you. You can listen with the volume off.
You could not open TikTok without hearing Heidi Montag. Even Heidi's Hill co-stars joined in, with Kristen Cavallari sharing this. Followed by other stars from the show, including Audrina, Brody, and Whitney. One person who fans can't help seem to notice is missing is Lauren, who has not said a word about Heidi's loss or music. And TikTok just came together to make the album #1 on iTunes. She had the #1 song with Superficial, and I'll Do It was also somewhere there. It's definitely been rising.
Just want to say thank you so much to everyone who is praying for us, supporting us, reaching out to us, and thank you to everyone who is streaming Superficial and making it in the top charts and supporting us that way with my music. Really appreciate that. Only 2,000 more downloads and it's in the top Billboard charts. It's amazing, just all the support rallying behind us in every single way, with Pratt Daddy Crystals, with my music, with everything. So thank you so much for all the endless love, all the prayers, all the support, and it all counts, it all matters. We're gonna rebuild here. So thank you.
Thank you, Apple. I know you wanted to send this, so you had somebody else send it, but it's from Apple, and their heart's #1. Thank you to everyone for making this happen. The first plaque of many more. I love you all.
Heidi's music made so much noise that Billboard even reached out to interview her and Spencer to talk about the support and her new video for I'll Do It. Make sure to check out my reaction if you haven't.
The audience it's like its own American Idol. They are making Heidi this pop star, and it's all audience driven. So it's like a live reality show where the audience keeps pushing her to the top, and it's like a weird glitch in the matrix.
I can't thank everyone enough for playing it, for making videos, for streaming it, for helping our family. It's such a hard time.
From losing their home in a devastating wildfire to fans returning a 15-year-old song and album to the top. And today releasing brand new music. Ooh, I'm the perfect type to keep you up all night. And if streaming continues, she could make her first Billboard 200 chart debut.
It would be a straight miracle and so exciting, and my biggest dreams come true, and just everyone's love and support has just been unbelievable, and it's really just overwhelming that, people are really just supporting our family in such a hard time, and it's just been such a light and so many answered
prayers for my music. And I mean, it's just a miracle. It's a straight miracle. So I can't thank everyone enough for playing it, for making videos, for streaming it.
And it seems like miracles do happen because Billboard just released this. Heidi Montag's Superficial album and songs debut across Billboard charts after losing homes in LA fires. The album Superficial debuts at number 54 on the Billboard 200, number 2 on Top Dance Albums, number 4 on Top Album Sales, number 9 on Independent Albums, and number 13 on Catalog Albums. It earned 15,000 equivalent album units in the United States, and collectively, the set songs generated 3.5 million on-demand official streams in the tracking week and sold 12,000 downloads. On Billboard's newly launched Hot Dance Pop Songs chart, I'll Do It and Superficial arrive at number 5 and 9. And they also enter at number 2 and 4 on the all-genre digital song sales chart. And she's also among the top 20 most popular artists of the week, debuting at number 17. I'm not even being ridiculous when I say I don't think I've ever been happier for anyone in my life. Okay, maybe a little ridiculous. But I am honestly so happy for her and so glad that, you know, this album is finally getting the credit it deserves. It's like the universe is finally giving Heidi and Superficial the redemption arc they deserve. TikTok has resurrected the album, and they are treating it like the pop masterpiece it was always meant to be. So what's the lesson here, my naughties? Don't sleep on reality TV queens with a dream. Heidi Montag may have been dismissed back in the day, but Superficial is proof that pop culture comes full circle. Now go stream the album, throw on a bikini, run through the beach, and remember, sometimes the best revenge is a successful second act. Thank you all so much for watching and spending time with me, getting balls deep into Heidi Montag's pop career and the masterpiece that is Superficial. What are your favorite songs on that album? Talk Superficial to me in the comments. And if there's any other video suggestions you have, anything else you want to see me do a deep dive into, leave that down there as well. If you haven't subscribed, consider hitting that subscribe button so we could be besties. But thank you so much for watching. Until next time, mwah.